Have you ever stared into a mirror so long that your own face starts to look unfamiliar? We've all done it. But what if, in that moment of strangeness, your reflection did something you didn't? What if it smiled back at you? This isn't a scene from a horror movie. This is a true story. My story. It all started with a mirror. Not just any mirror, but an antique I found tucked away in the corner of a dusty old shop. It was beautiful, with an ornate, dark wood frame, almost black, carved with twisting vines. There was something about it that just drew me in. I had to have it. I hung it in my bedroom, right across from my bed. At first, it was just a mirror. It reflected my room, my tired face in the morning, my slightly less tired face at night. Everything was normal. The first odd thing happened about a week later. I was getting ready for bed, brushing my teeth in the ensuite bathroom, and I glanced through the doorway at the mirror. For a split second, I thought I saw my reflection move on its own. It was a tiny thing, just a slight turn of the head while I was standing perfectly still. I blinked, shook my head, and blamed it on exhaustion. You're seeing things, I mumbled to myself. It's easy to dismiss the unexplainable when you're tired. But then, it happened again. A few nights later, I woke up suddenly, with that strange feeling you get when you know you're not alone. My eyes darted around the dark room and landed on the mirror. In the faint moonlight filtering through the window, I could just make out my own silhouette sitting up in bed. But here's the thing. I was lying down, my heart hammered against my ribs. I squeezed my eyes shut, counted to 10, and opened them again. The reflection was lying down now, just like me. A dream, I told myself. It had to be a nightmare. These little inconsistencies started piling up. I'd walk past the mirror and, out of the corner of my eye, see the reflection wave. I'd be reading a book on my bed, and the reflection would be staring intently at the ceiling. Each time, when I looked directly, everything was normal again. I was starting to feel like I was losing my mind. I started avoiding my own bedroom, spending more time in the living room. I even started changing my clothes in the bathroom, just to avoid that mirror. I confided in a friend, Sarah, over coffee. I expected her to laugh, to tell me I was overworked and not getting enough sleep, but she listened patiently, a concerned look on her face. Maybe you should get rid of it, she suggested gently. It's just a mirror, right? If it's freaking you out this much, it's not worth it. She was right, of course. It was just an object, but a strange, possessive feeling had taken root in me. It was my asterisk mirror. Getting rid of it felt like giving up, like admitting defeat to a piece of furniture. The real turning point, the moment that pushed me from unease into genuine fear, happened on a quiet Tuesday night. I was feeling a bit braver, determined to prove to myself that it was all in my head. I decided to face it directly. I stood in front of the mirror, took a deep breath, and just stared. I stared into my own eyes, challenging the reflection to do something, anything. For a long minute, nothing happened. It was just me looking tired and stressed. I almost laughed at my own foolishness. And then, it smiled. It wasn't my smile. My lips were set in a firm, straight line. But the face in the mirror, its mouth curved upwards into a slow, deliberate, chilling grin. The eyes didn't crinkle like mine do when I smile. They remained wide, dark, and fixed on me. It was a smile of pure malice, of knowing something I didn't. Time seemed to stop. The air in the room grew cold, and every rational thought fled my mind, replaced by a primal, screaming panic. I couldn't move. I was paralyzed, locked in a staring contest with a version of myself that was not me. I finally broke the spell, stumbling backward and crashing into my nightstand, sending a lamp and a glass of water to the floor. I scrambled out of the room, slammed the door shut, and didn't stop running until I was huddled on my living room couch, wrapped in a blanket, shaking uncontrollably. I didn't sleep a wink that night. Every shadow seemed to move, and every creak of the old house sounded like footsteps. The next morning, sleep-deprived and terrified, I knew I couldn't live with that thing in my house for another second. But I was also too scared to go back into the bedroom alone. I called Sarah, my voice trembling, and practically begged her to come over. When she arrived and saw the state I was in, she didn't ask any questions. Say whose side? Okay, let's get it out of here. Together We went into the bedroom. The mirror hung silently on the wall, looking completely innocent in the morning light. It was just a beautiful antique. But I knew what I had seen. I couldn't even look at it directly. With Sarah's help, we wrestled the heavy frame off the wall. The entire time, I felt its presence, watching us. We covered it with a thick blanket, carried it out of my apartment, and loaded it into the back of her car. We didn't just throw it away. I couldn't shake the feeling that someone else might find it, that this thing would just find a new home. So we drove out to a remote industrial landfill. We smashed Italiano. We took turns with a hammer. Sarah kept in her trunk for emergencies, and with every strike, with every crack that splintered across the glass, I felt a weight lifting off my shoulders. We shattered it into 1,000 pieces, until there was nothing left but a pile of glittering shards and broken wood. Driving back, I felt lighter than I had in weeks. The world seemed brighter, the air cleaner. It was over. I never found out the history of that mirror, what was attached to it, or why it chose me. And honestly, I don't want to know. Some doors are best left unopened. This experience taught me a powerful lesson. Trust your gut. When something feels wrong, it probably is. Don't try to rationalize away your own intuition. Sometimes, the most logical thing to do is to acknowledge the illogical and get it out of your life, no matter how crazy it seems. That mirror wasn't just a reflection of me. It was a dark window into something else, something that wanted to be seen. And I'm just glad I had the strength and the friendty shut it for good. Thank you so much for listening to my story. It's a strange one, I know, but it's 100% true. If you've ever had a similar experience, I'd be fascinated to hear about it in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this glimpse into the unexplained, please consider liking this video and subscribing for more true stories. Stay safe, and maybe think twice before buying that creepy-looking antique.